Okay, we're going to be reading in our science book, topic 3 on Earth's water and land. We've already discussed this last week in social studies about the different types of landforms. But now as we're reading it in science, we're going to learn some little bit more about the scientific properties of these landforms and how they work. All right, you should have your science book open to page 84. You're going to follow along with me with your finger. Again, so your brain is listening to the words and your eyes are reading it at the same time. Make sure you have your book out because just like in class, it's going to ask us to do things like drawing an X or underlining a part of the sentence. So have a pencil, have your book open, following along with the lesson. Okay, let's begin. The surface of Earth. Most maps are flat. The surface of Earth is not flat. The surface of Earth has many different landforms. A landform is a feature made of rock and dirt. Landforms are different sizes and shapes. Mountains. The highest landforms are mountains. Mountains are large landforms that can be very high. Some mountains are so high that the snow on top of them never melts. Most mountains have pointed tops or peaks. So the top of the mountain is called a peak. Mountains have steep slopes. A slope is an area that slants up. Steep slopes make mountains very hard to climb. Okay, I'm going to show you an example of some slopes here. Okay, I have a picture of a mountain. Here we have its peak, that's the top. The slope is this angle here, how it climbs up from the mountain. And at the bottom is called the foot or the base of the mountain. So this side, as the rock goes up, is called the slope. Now, mountains can have very steep slopes. Look at this slope here. It's almost straight up and down. That is a very steep slope. Or it can have what's called a gentle slope. So looking at this mountain here, it is more gentle. It is not as steep. It doesn't look like it's going as high as this one up here. Think about this. Which one would be easier to climb, this brown mountain or the green mountain? Okay, the green mountain would be much easier to climb because it's not going as steep. It's not as straight up and down. Okay, so that's the slope here. It's that slant that goes up the side of the mountain. Okay, draw an X on the slope of the mountain. So I need to move my book over here. Here's your picture of your mountain. So we're all going to draw an X right here on a slope. See, we see that's the angle here. That is the Earth moving, that angle that it goes up. It's slanting up from the ground, so we're going to put an X right along here on the slope. Okay. And let's read this question here. Would it be easier to hike over a mountain or over a hill? Tell one reason why. Okay, you should have answered that it's definitely going to be easier to hike over a hill because, I hope you said why, the question asked both, because the slope is not as steep. Okay, now fingers on, ready to keep following. Hills and plains. A hill is a landform that is higher than the land around it. They are not as high as mountains. Snow melts off them in warmer weather. A low area between mountains or hills is called a valley. There are many different types of valleys. And here's the picture of the valley you see. It's the low land in between. We should already remember that from last week. All right, plains. Plains are flat areas that are often in valleys. Plains are very important landforms because they often have very rich soil. Soil is loose material that plants can grow in. Soil contains living things like bacteria, small animals, and insects. Soil contains non-living things like minerals, bits of rock, water, and air. Because they are flat, many plains are used for farming. And here are the plains. We see it's very flat. The soil is nice and loose, which makes it very good for what? Right, it makes it good for farming. And if we remember from our social studies, where are most of the plains in the United States? Most of the plains would be in the middle of the country. We do have plains in California, and we do have some farmland in California as well, but most of them are in the middle of the country, and that's where we grow most of our wheat and our corn. Okay, turn the page. Plateaus and canyons. Plateaus are raised parts of Earth's surface that are flat on top. Sometimes plateaus have canyons below. Canyons are deep valleys. The valleys in the canyons have steep walls. Many canyons are formed by rivers. Rivers carry dirt and rock away. Over time, the canyon forms. So we learned this last week too. Here we have a plateau. It's flat on top. And here is the canyon because it has these very, very steep walls here. So instead of calling this a valley, it is a canyon because of the walls being so steep of the mountain there. All right, this river formed the canyon, right? All right, we're going to do this part here. Underline words that describe how canyons are formed. I don't want you to tell me that the rivers formed them. I want you to tell me, how did the river form this canyon? Underline your sentence here that tells me how the river did it, and then type in what you underlined in the box. All right, so you should have underlined rivers carry dirt and rock away. Okay, that's how the rivers are forming them. As the river flows through the land, we learn that rivers are flowing. They move. They don't sit still. So as they're flowing, they're carrying that dirt and that rock with them. As water is flowing, it moves some of that dirt and rock, and so that's how it starts to carve this canyon out. Okay, our last page for today. Landforms on the ocean floor. The ocean floor has landforms too. Many of the landforms on the ocean floor are much bigger than the landforms on land. Many people think Mount Everest in Asia is the highest mountain on Earth. Mount Mauna Kea in Hawaii is much higher. The base of Mauna Kea is on the ocean floor, making it the tallest mountain in the world. Challenger Deep is the deepest canyon in the ocean. It is much deeper than Mount Everest is high. Okay, let's look at these diagrams that it has for us. Okay, they did a challenge deep to see how far this canyon was in the ocean floor. And let's look on the side. Here it's telling us the number of meters. So as we go down from 0 to where it started, that means from here to there, look at that. It was 10,944 meters. So remember that meter stick that I had in the classroom, that big meter stick? You would need 10,000 of those, almost 11,000, to get all the way down to the bottom of that ocean floor, of that canyon. And then for Mount Everest, it is 8,000 meters high. So that's how tall it is from the base all the way up to the top. Now, most people think this is the tallest mountain on Earth, but it's not. This is the tallest one on land. We learned that Mauna Kea in Hawaii, its mountain starts in the ocean floor, not up on land like Mount Everest does. So if you were to count from the base on the ocean floor, Mauna Kea is much higher than Mount Everest because we can see how deep this ocean floor goes. So Mauna Kea is the largest mountain, the tallest mountain in the world. Okay, very good job today. You are going to be doing an interactive activity in Pearson Realize, and then tomorrow we're going to be taking a little quiz on your landforms.